You know how this feels, don't you? At first, you thought they were such a wonderful person. But as time passed, you realized you'd been completely blindsided. They seemed kind and caring initially, but later you discovered they were saying completely different things behind your back. They offered to help you, then used that assistance to create guilt and obligation. You thought they were being honest with you, but it turned out they were just being cruel. People's true nature is hidden in their words. Even when someone approaches you with a smile, if you listen carefully to what they say repeatedly, you'll see their real intentions. As we get older, one of the most important things we learn is how to protect our energy. We need the wisdom to spend time only with good people and filter out the toxic ones before they can hurt us. It's much wiser to recognize warning signs early than to deal with the damage after it's done. Today, I'm going to share 5 dangerous phrases that reveal someone's true character. When you encounter people who use these phrases regularly, you need to create distance immediately. The first warning sign: people who constantly say, "I'm just being honest," or "I'm a very direct person." Be extremely careful of anyone who frequently emphasizes how honest they are. There's no phrase that should make you more cautious than someone claiming to be brutally honest, especially when they keep emphasizing this about themselves. Here's their typical pattern. They say something hurtful to you, then immediately follow it with, "I'm just being honest," or "That's just my personality." They'll say things like, "Isn't it better to be direct?" while continuing to share unwelcome opinions about your life. And when you react negatively to their comments, they get angry and say, "Why are you being so sensitive?" But genuinely honest people are completely different. They consider your feelings while choosing their words carefully. They understand that sometimes silence is better than speech, and they won't say hurtful things just because they're true. Benjamin Franklin, the American statesman and inventor, once said, "Honesty is the best policy, but rudeness is the worst choice." What does this mean? It means that while being truthful is important, it should never become an excuse for treating others poorly. True honesty comes from a place of caring about the other person. Simply dumping your thoughts and feelings on someone isn't honesty, it's selfishness disguised as virtue. Let me tell you about what happened to an elderly woman I know. She had a neighbor who constantly used the phrase, "I'm just being honest," as a weapon in every conversation. This neighbor would say things like, "I'm just being honest, but you're looking really old lately. Your style seems outdated. I'm just being direct with you. Your grandson isn't doing well in school. Honestly, I think it's genetic." Each time she heard these comments, the woman felt hurt. But because the neighbor framed it as honesty, it was difficult to respond with anger. One day, she asked the neighbor why she said such things. The neighbor replied, "Oh, I didn't realize you'd be so sensitive about it. I'm naturally a very honest person. I believe in calling things as I see them." That's when she realized this person wasn't being honest. They were just being cruel. From that point forward, she kept her distance from this neighbor. Even when they met, she avoided deep conversations and didn't seek out the neighbor's honest opinions. A few months later, other people in the community started avoiding this neighbor too. She had been going around hurting people under the guise of honesty. Here's the truth: genuinely honest people don't announce their honesty. The more someone emphasizes how direct they are, the more suspicious you should be. Real honesty includes consideration for the listener's feelings. When truly honest people need to share difficult truths, they approach it with phrases like, "This might be hard to hear," or "I hope this doesn't sound offensive," but they're careful and respectful in their approach. Fake honesty, on the other hand, shows no consideration for the other person's feelings and just dumps thoughts without any filter. The next time someone says, "I'm just being honest," think twice about what they're really doing. The second warning sign: people who constantly say, "After everything I've done for you." Be very wary of people who keep score of their good deeds. These are individuals who constantly remind you of their past favors and use them to create guilt and obligation. Here's their pattern: they help you with something, then inevitably demand something in return. They'll say things like, "I helped you back then, so now you should help me." When you can't or won't comply with their requests, they become angry and accuse you of being ungrateful or selfish. But genuine help and kindness should come without strings attached. When someone is truly caring, they offer assistance naturally when you're struggling and feel satisfied with the act itself. Helping someone while calculating what you'll get in return isn't real help. It's a transaction disguised as kindness. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "True good deeds seek no reward." This means that genuine kindness doesn't expect anything back. When you do something good, you should find satisfaction in the action itself. The moment you start expecting something in return, it stops being kindness and becomes a business deal. I know of an elderly man who experienced this firsthand. He had a longtime friend who helped him significantly when he was ill, driving him to medical appointments and providing various forms of support. Initially, the man was deeply grateful, thinking, "How wonderful to have such a supportive friend." But over time, the friend's true nature emerged. He began constantly bringing up his past assistance. "Do you know how much those hospital trips cost me in gas money? If I hadn't been there, what would you have done? After everything I've done for you, don't you think you owe me some help now?" Then he started making various demands, asking for money, requesting help with household chores, and even bragging to others about how much he had helped. The elderly man gradually felt more and more burdened. While he was grateful for the help, constantly hearing about it made it feel more like a debt than a gift. One day, he spoke honestly to his friend. "I'm truly grateful for your help, but constantly bringing it up makes me feel uncomfortable." The friend became angry. "After everything I've done for you, this is how you respond? People these days don't appreciate anything." That's when the man understood. This person hadn't helped him out of genuine care. He had been calculating what he could get in return. From then on, he maintained distance from this friend. Even when they met, he made sure not to create situations where he might need assistance. Years later, this friend behaved the same way with others and eventually found himself isolated. Here's the truth: genuinely good people don't keep bringing up their past favors. They help others and then act naturally about it, saying things like, "It was nothing," or "Of course I'd help." But transactional people constantly emphasize their assistance and check whether you remember what they've done. If you frequently hear, "After everything I've done for you," it's time to reconsider that relationship. The third warning sign: people who often say everyone else says so too. Never trust people who love gossip and enjoy spreading unverified information. These individuals frequently use the phrase, "everyone else says so too," to give weight to their rumors and opinions. Here's what they do. They always have some story or rumor about someone. They use phrases like, "I heard that," or "word is that." When sharing their own opinions, they make them sound like universal truths by saying, "Everyone thinks that," or "That's what everyone's saying." But these people are genuinely dangerous because they create division and conflict between others. They'll tell person A that person B was criticizing them, then tell person B that person A was talking badly about them, gradually destroying relationships. The ancient Chinese sage Confucius said, "The superior person is careful with words and diligent in action." This means that truly good people don't speak carelessly, but instead prove themselves through right action. Conversely, people who enjoy gossip and rumors tend to be lacking in character themselves. Genuinely good people focus on their own behavior rather than talking about others. Let me share what happened to an elderly woman in an apartment complex. There was a resident council member who absolutely loved spreading rumors. This person constantly came around with various stories. "Did you hear about the daughter-in-law in apartment 503? They say she claims to care for her mother-in-law, but actually neglects her. Everyone's saying she's just pretending to be a good daughter-in-law." Initially, the woman listened to these stories. Since she didn't know the daughter-in-law personally, she thought there might be some truth to it. But over time, she noticed a pattern. This council member kept bringing similar stories about other residents. The grandfather in 201 seems to be showing signs of dementia. Everyone's saying he's been acting strangely lately. There are rumors that the son in 800 had his business fail. Several people mentioned he's having financial difficulties. The woman became increasingly suspicious. Were these really stories this person had heard from multiple sources? One day, she had a chance to meet the daughter-in-law from 503 directly. After talking with her, she discovered that the woman was actually taking excellent care of her mother-in-law, checking on her daily, taking her to medical appointments, and making sure she had proper nutrition. When the woman confronted the council member about this, the daughter-in-law in 503 is actually taking great care of her mother-in-law. Who exactly told you otherwise? The council member became flustered. Oh, I can't remember exactly who said it. It was just the general feeling I got. That's when she realized most of what this person said was unverified speculation, presented as fact. From then on, she filtered everything the council member said. Whenever she heard everyone saying, she would ask, "Can you tell me specifically who said this?" Most of the time, she got vague answers. Just the general atmosphere. That's the feeling I got. I heard it somewhere. Here's the key insight. People who love rumors mostly spread unverified information, as if it were established fact. You should never take their words at face value. When you hear everyone else says so too, ask specifically who exactly said this. If they can't provide concrete sources, it's likely rumor or speculation. Also, if someone frequently talks about other people, don't accept their stories as truth. The fourth warning sign, people who say, "I'm only telling you this for your own good," while making you feel terrible. The most manipulative type of person disguises cruelty as concern. They put phrases like, "for your own good," or "with the best intentions," in front of hurtful comments. Here's their method. They accurately identify your weaknesses or insecurities, then repeatedly attack those areas under the guise of advice. When you react negatively, they blame you. "I meant this with good intentions. Why are you taking it the wrong way?" But genuine advice or constructive criticism should ultimately make you feel better. Even when the content is difficult to hear, if the speaker's sincerity comes through, it should leave you feeling supported rather than attacked. The Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "True care brings comfort to the soul." This means that if someone genuinely cares about you, their words shouldn't make you feel terrible. Even when difficult truths need to be shared, sincere caring wraps the message in warmth. Fake advice, on the other hand, diminishes your confidence and makes you feel smaller. I know of an elderly woman who had a frequent acquaintance who always prefaced hurtful comments with good intentions or "for your own good." This acquaintance would say things like, "With good intentions, I have to say you're looking really aged lately. You should take better care of yourself. I'm telling you this for your own good. Your grandson isn't doing well in school. Maybe you're spoiling him too much. I'm only saying this for your benefit. Your husband has been quite ill lately. For your own good, I think you should prepare yourself mentally." Each time she heard these comments, the woman felt hurt. But because they were framed as being for her benefit, it was difficult to respond with anger. Over time, she noticed something troubling. This person's advice always left her feeling worse about herself. After these conversations, she felt less confident, more anxious, and generally unhappy. If this were truly good advice, even if it was hard to hear, it should have felt helpful in some way. But these comments just made her feel bad. One day, she asked this acquaintance, "Why do you say these things?" "They make me feel awful." The acquaintance replied, "Oh, I didn't realize you'd be so sensitive. I meant this with good intentions. You need to face reality." That's when she understood. This person wasn't trying to help her. They were just trying to make her feel bad. From then on, she kept distance from this acquaintance. Even when they met, she avoided sharing personal information. A few months later, others began avoiding this person too. She had been going around hurting people, under the pretense of giving advice. Here's the crucial point. Real advice comes from genuinely wanting the other person's growth and happiness. Even when the content is difficult to hear, you can feel the speaker's warm intentions. But fake advice comes from a desire to put someone down. From a position of superiority, it leaves you feeling diminished and less confident. If "for your own good" is consistently followed by hurt feelings, that's not real care. The fifth warning sign, people who frequently say, "Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing?" Avoid people who dismiss and minimize others' emotions and experiences. These individuals often use the phrase, "Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing?" Here's their pattern. When others are struggling or upset, they show no empathy. They consistently respond with, "That's nothing," or "Why are you being so sensitive?" They act as if they're the reasonable, rational ones. But human emotions don't have universal scales. What might seem small to one person could be genuinely significant and important to another. Saying "that's nothing" essentially dismisses that person's entire existence. Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, said, "Understanding another person's pain is true humanity. This means that the ability to empathize with others' suffering and difficulties is what makes us truly human. Understanding that what seems small to me might be huge to someone else, that's what matters." Genuinely good people respect others' emotions and try to empathize with their pain. Let me tell you about an elderly man who developed knee problems that made walking difficult. Doctors said it was age-related and unavoidable, and surgery carried significant risks. This man felt genuinely depressed and struggled with this issue, but people around him reacted very differently. Some people said, "That must be really difficult for you. If walking becomes hard, please let me help anytime." But others responded differently. "Why are you getting so depressed over nothing? Everyone gets aches when they age. Stop making such a fuss about knee pain." Older people these days make a big deal out of everything. One neighbor in particular constantly said, "Why are you being so dramatic about knee pain? I have aches too, but I don't complain about it." Every time he heard these comments, the man felt more depressed. It felt terrible to have his pain treated as insignificant. One day, when the neighbor made another dismissive comment, the man replied, "You can say that because you don't understand my pain. To me, this isn't nothing." The neighbor responded, "You're being too sensitive." That's when the man realized this person had no capacity for empathy. From then on, he kept distance from this neighbor and stopped sharing his difficulties or pain. Instead, he grew closer to people who understood his struggles, those who asked, "How are you feeling today?" and showed genuine concern. A few months later, that dismissive neighbor developed their own health problems, a serious back condition that caused real suffering. Only then did they understand how difficult physical pain could be. But by then, their relationships with others had already deteriorated. Here's the truth. Truly caring people respect others' emotions, even when they don't fully understand them. They say things like, "I may not completely understand, but I can see this is difficult for you," and try to show empathy. But people without empathy judge everything by their own standards and dismiss others' feelings. If you frequently hear, "Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing?" it's better to distance yourself from that person. Let me summarize the 5 dangerous warning signs we've discussed. First, be cautious of people who constantly say, "I'm just being honest." Second, stay away from those who frequently say, "After everything I've done for you." Third, don't trust people who often say, "Everyone else says so too." Fourth, be wary of those who say, "I'm only telling you this for your own good," while hurting your feelings. Fifth, avoid people who regularly say, "Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing?" What do all these phrases have in common? They show a fundamental lack of respect for others. Genuinely good people make an effort to understand others' feelings. When they share their opinions, they're careful not to hurt the other person. After helping someone, they don't keep bringing it up. They value others' emotions and treat them with consideration. But people with poor character are the opposite. They only care about themselves and see others as tools for their own purposes. That's why they say whatever they want, without considering whether it hurts others. As we get older, peace of mind becomes increasingly precious. While we might have had patience for difficult people when we were younger, we don't need that anymore. It's much wiser to spend our remaining time only with good people. Of course, we can't always completely avoid problematic people. You might have family members, relatives, or neighbors who fit these patterns, and sometimes you'll have to interact with them. In those cases, just maintain appropriate distance. Don't share deep personal thoughts with them. Keep interactions to polite surface-level exchanges. Never confide your personal struggles or difficulties in them. Don't react to everything they say. Just respond with neutral phrases like "I see" or "okay." The important thing is not to let these people stress you out. Draw a mental line and think, that person is just like that. You don't need to be hurt by their words or get angry about them. Instead, invest more time and energy in genuinely good people. Those who listen to you warmly, understand your feelings, and treat you with sincerity. Cherish those relationships and develop them more deeply. Distinguishing between people isn't discrimination. It's wisdom for protecting yourself and preserving your happiness. You can't neglect good people by spending time with bad ones. From now on, learn to recognize these warning signs early. It's much wiser to prepare in advance than to regret after getting hurt. Protect your precious heart and peaceful daily life. Surround yourself only with good people and build warm, happy relationships. If you know others who might benefit from this wisdom, please share it with them. When we protect and support each other, we can all create more peaceful relationships. Your remaining years should be spent with people who truly value and respect you. You deserve relationships that bring you joy, not stress and pain. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong, and don't hesitate to protect your peace of mind.